Picture this. You pull a burrito out of the microwave, peel back the wrapper, and the whole thing has collapsed into a soggy, oily mess. That's not bad luck. That's what happens when cheap fats and thickeners break down under heat. It happens with more brands than you'd think. And it's not just a texture problem, it's a signal that what you just ate was mostly filler. Today, we're naming 7 brands that fail this basic test and 3 that hold up because they're made with ingredients you can actually recognize. Never buy these 7 frozen burrito brands. Most budget burritos are built on soy protein concentrate, modified food starch, and sodium levels your body struggles to process in a single sitting. The beef flavor you taste? That's mostly flavoring agents doing the work, not actual beef. And when you microwave them, the cheap fats and gum-based thickeners break down fast. The tortilla gets wet from the inside out, the filling separates into an oily paste, and what's left looks nothing like food. That's not a cooking error. That's exactly what the formulation does. Number 1. El Monterey Beef and Bean Burritos. El Monterey is everywhere. Every grocery store, every freezer aisle, cheap packaging that promises something hearty. But pull one out of the microwave and the first thing you'll notice is that the top is still cold while the outside burns your fingers because the filling is dense enough that heat can't push through it evenly. And when you do get a bite that's actually warm, the beef flavor isn't really there. Soy protein concentrate and textured vegetable protein do most of the heavy lifting, and they don't taste like beef. They taste like a faint, savory paste. El Monterey's shredded steak variety heats evenly and tastes closer to real beef. So the problem isn't the brand, it's this specific product, built for cost, not for eating. Number 2. Tina's Red Hot Beef Burrito. 58 cents. That's what Tina's Red Hot Beef Burrito costs, and that price tells you everything about what's inside before you even read the label. The red hot seasoning is doing a lot of cover work here. Beef sits so far down the ingredient list that soy protein and starch are clearly carrying the filling, and the chili seasoning drowns out any beef flavor that might be left. One taster described it as pepper slurry, which sounds harsh until you actually eat one. The tortilla is paper thin, so when the filling heats and expands, the seam splits and everything leaks out onto the wrapper. That's not a microwave error. That's a tortilla built to the absolute lowest possible spec. Number 3. Jose Ole Beef and Cheese Chimichanga. A chimichanga is supposed to be crispy. That's the whole point. It's a fried burrito, and the crunch is what makes it different from everything else in the freezer aisle. Jose Ole's version comes out of the microwave soft. Not just not crispy, but actively doughy. Like the outside never finished cooking. The cheese doesn't melt into the beef filling. It turns rubbery and separates, so every bite hits a different texture in a way that feels like an accident. Here's why that happens. The beef is extended with soy and bound with starches that release moisture when heated, and that moisture soaks straight into the dough from the inside out. You're paying for a crunch that the product was never actually designed to deliver. Number 4. Great Value Bean and Cheese Burritos. Walmart's Great Value Burritos come in a bulk pack, 8 at a time, which sounds like a bargain until you pull the first one out of the microwave and find an oily puddle sitting on your plate. Not a little grease, an actual slick of fat that you have to wipe up, because the cheese filling uses low-grade fats that fully separate under heat. The bean filling underneath that grease is starchy and barely seasoned, so you're eating fat and filler with almost no protein doing anything useful. And if you don't love the first one, you've got 7 more waiting in the freezer, each one absorbing moisture from the filling during storage, getting soggier before you even cook them. Number 5. Fast Bites Beef Burrito. Fast Bites lives at gas stations and dollar stores, and that's not an accident. It's built for places where you're hungry, you're in a hurry, and you're not reading labels. The beef filling doesn't have the texture of ground beef. It's smooth like a paste because that's what happens when you process meat down, add binders, and freeze it. The protein content is low enough that beef burrito is more of a label than a description. Salt carries the whole flavor load here, so the first bite tastes okay, and then it falls flat fast. Your taste buds hit the salt ceiling and there's nothing underneath it. Products built for long shelf life need more preservatives to get there, and the texture pays the price. Number 6. Red's Steak and Cheddar Burrito. Red's packaging looks cleaner than the budget brands, the price runs higher, and some of their products carry an all-natural label. So you'd expect something better inside. The steak filling actually tastes decent. which puts it above most of what we've covered. But put it in the microwave and the whole thing falls apart. The filling heats unevenly, expands faster than the tortilla can hold, and the burrito warps and splits open, spilling across the plate. One reviewer called it a Cronenberg monster, and that's not an exaggeration. All natural means no artificial preservatives or flavors. It doesn't mean the tortilla can survive its own cooking instructions, and Reds never solved that problem. Number 7. Don Miguel beef and bean burritos. Don Miguel is the burrito your parents kept in the freezer, and that memory does a lot of work to keep you buying it without flipping the package over. But the filling tells a different story. The beef and bean mixture comes out smooth and uniform, not because it's well made, but because it's heavily processed with starches and binders that push out any real texture. The refried beans aren't thick from being cooked down properly, they're thick from added starch. Sodium runs high here, high enough that one burrito can eat up close to half your daily limit before lunch. Research on food buying shows people consistently rate familiar brands higher, even when blind tests prove otherwise, and Don Miguel has coasted on that bias for decades. 3. With real ingredients. Every brand we've covered so far hides behind a long ingredient list because the actual food content can't carry the product on its own. These next 3 work the opposite way. Short lists, real ingredients up front, and protein that comes from actual food rather than processed soy. Yes, they cost more. $3 to $4 versus 50 cents feels like a big gap, but you're not buying the same thing in a different wrapper. You're buying a burrito where real beans keep the filling stable under heat, real cheese melts instead of separating, and the tortilla holds together when you bite into it. Number 8. Amy's Organic Bean and Cheese Burrito. Amy's Kitchen has been making organic frozen food since the late 1980s, and the bean and cheese burrito is where that experience shows up most clearly. Read the ingredient list and you're done in 10 seconds. Organic refried beans, organic cheddar cheese, organic flour tortilla, spices, that's the whole list. No soy protein concentrate, no modified starch, nothing you'd need to search online to identify. Real beans keep the filling stable under heat because they've got natural fiber and density, so the cheese melts into the filling rather than pooling on top. If you've got 10 extra minutes, throw it in the oven and the tortilla gets slightly crisp on the outside. Even microwaved, it holds together. Number 9. Saffron Road Chicken Burrito Bowl Wrap. Most people have never heard of Saffron Road, and that's a shame because it's doing something quietly that the big brands won't touch. The chicken is antibiotic-free, which matters more than it sounds. Most frozen burritos use processed beef stretched with soy, and the filling comes out smooth like paste. Saffron Road's chicken has actual texture, actual variation when you bite into it, because it wasn't ground down and rebuilt with binders. The FDA has flagged antibiotic use in food animals as a real public health concern, so choosing antibiotic-free protein isn't just about taste. Number 10. Sweet Earth Big Sur Breakfast Burrito. A breakfast burrito might seem out of place on this list, but Sweet Earth's Big Sur solves problems the other brands never bothered with. The filling is eggs, uncured bacon, cheese, and black beans. Protein from real eggs, fiber from real beans, and when you heat it up, the egg stays firm rather than turning into a rubbery sponge. That's genuinely hard to pull off in a frozen product. $4, real eggs, real bacon, a tortilla that stays together. That's what the extra money buys.